Saxman, Emperor Saxman. Also with him is the Ketchkan group. Coming up is the Monsignor Elias dances, the Akatat. Eskimo and the Tlingit, Lupi, like to see their sweetheart come by.
Keep it up. Keep it up.
Come across in a wheelchair is Maggie John from Yakutat, one of the oldest citizens of the community. Maggie John was just brought across in a wheelchair. Coming across now will be a Haida, which are two sons. There will be a 5-minute interlude at this time for the dancers to be seated and to catch their breath. And now we will have the welcoming address by Byron Mulatt, who comes from the Yakutat area. You notice he came dancing with his group. He comes from the Raven tribe, and the Koho clan, the Tlingit. He's very much interested in the culture of his people. And on several occasions, as I sat with the board, once in a while I'd give him a little briefing on Tlingit culture. And Byron is learning the Tlingit words, but right now he's come to the word qaaq, and he's having a rough time to say qaaq. He always say qaaq. And now it is my pleasure to introduce to you Byron Mulatt, Chairman of Sealaska Corporation.
These 3 days, for those of us who are not elders, and for those of us who do not speak nor understand as fully as we might our culture, our heritage, will likely be one of the 3 most significant days of our lives. I believe that if anything of meaning comes from this gathering, it will be that we will learn how much we need you. Among the 16,000 shareholders of Sealaska, just hardly 1,000 are over the age of 60. And we need you now more than ever to be involved in a gathering like this, to understand how little we know and how much must be imparted to the young people, is to recognize an awesome responsibility among the young to learn, an even more awesome responsibility, in my estimation, among the elders to teach. Without you, we will not survive. As a people, we will not survive. One of those things that has been most noticed among the native peoples of Alaska, and particularly among the native peoples of Southeast Alaska, is that one of our most compelling traits was that we survived, we made our decisions, the things that were most important to us were developed and were acknowledged on the basis that we were one, on the basis that we were together, and we understood that. In our culture, there was no individual. And in order for us to survive as a people, what exists still in our culture and our heritage must be transmitted to the young so that we live together rather than as individuals, lonely without guidance, except that which we gain from other places than our own culture. And that is the reason for this gathering. I think that among us all, we sense down deep that we must come together one more time. We must come together as a people, and we must stay together. And we must stay together for a purpose. And that purpose is to allow us to continue, as long as we shall have children, to survive as Tlingit and Haida, Tsimshian people, as races that are recognized for the beauty of their culture, for the sensitivity of their culture, as races that are recognized as distinct, as races that are recognized as contributing, not just to our own survival and our own development as a people, but as people who contribute to the overall society, as people who bring the beauty and the tradition and the religion and the philosophy of our cultures and make that useful and helpful to all of us who must survive in our society. And I'm speaking for myself, but I know that there will be many throughout these 3 days who will see all that is happening as through a fog. We will understand some of it. We will not understand a lot of it. But more than anything else, we will feel that with what we see here in this gathering of our people in Juneau in February of 1982, we will see hope, and out of it hopefully will come guidance for our future. It is a very humbling experience to stand before you. You see my name and the names of the board of directors and Sealaska in the papers all the time, involved in business, involved in all sorts of things on behalf of our shareholders. Many people don't know what that means. They think that what is significant and what is important, and those people who are important, are those that they see doing all of these things. But I know in my heart, and I know that all of those who serve in Sealaska know that the real power, that the real source of inspiration, that the real guidance, that what is really important resides among our elders. And we are here to learn, and we will do it humbly. Thank you very much.
You have just heard a member of the Raven tribe and the Koho clan, that's the Knachati. I would like to see the Koho clan group stand at this time. All the Koho people. Yeah, we're gonna teach. Thank you very much. I understand that at this time the group from Yakutat would like to make a presentation. Brother Paul Henry.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're making a presentation to Byron Mulatt, who is from our home country. And I would like to correct something here, because I have a lot of Koshki Khan among our dancers. He is Koshki Khan and not Knachadi, even though he's a nephew of mine. The way it stands is his grandfather and my father were brothers. You all know in Tlingit that a cousin of yours is a sister also. You can always refer to her as your true sister. And that's the way this thing stands, and I am very proud of him, and this presentation I'm going to make is a vest which has Sealaska logo on the back. And Go ahead. And Byron?
Jeff's going to put it on him.
Yeah. Jeff, you're on here. Byron, we always want you to wear it with pride. It's with love from my sisters and the rest of the ACTAD group. Thank you.
And traditionally, the opposite tribe and clan takes part in this kind of a ceremony, so they're taking part and putting the vest now on the recipient.
Ach das guit khatane khunche ach sanehas khatas ach tachan siti a yatat de kache khatiyetlach kun khaya unesechti de doati achaya ya ach khatka haya it's khat yes decide that Gos nas kokasa, gos yagachiach, ach lish katae, ach tla, kauska, ka ahunch kasku. Yeah, not a koyish yechisakuda. Katzek twasi gugunal chish ye chokai, ach kaniyan, ach ish has, ach sani has, ach art has. Tlel chacha du kadet paish ya du adi, chua ya awe, skandu u, katao slagao, ka lish a getch, who has awe du kadet has paish, gunal chish.
They were assisted by the spirits of the great people on their side, and so this is indeed a traditional manner in which robes are presented. Yehovah.
I was so afraid that the vest was not going to fit him, but I noticed it fits him perfectly.
Judson Brown, chairman of Sealaska Heritage Foundation, of the Eagle tribe and the Killer Whale clan, will now give you a few remarks.
Thank you, Walter. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the Tsimshian Nation, the Haida Nation, and the Tlingit Nation, it is indeed a privilege and a pleasure that we are all gathered here today to honor the past, to honor the coming generations as well. In the opening remarks, Byron said, "Thank you to the elders." And we elders in turn say to Byron, "Thank you very much, you and the board of directors, for the wonderful support that we have received from you in getting the Sealaska Heritage Foundation and other organizations which have sprung from the Sealaska Corporation in the past few years. I think the formation of the Sealaska Heritage Foundation is one of the most outstanding achievements that the corporation has undertaken so far this year and last year. You must recall that the Heritage Foundation is only about a year old. And in speaking for the elders, we cannot overlook thanking the corporation also for the young people, because as a result of their efforts and their support, their financial support, we are able to fund about 100 students in many of the outstanding colleges and in our own land too, in Alaska. The grants that were placed by the scholarship committee have made it possible for these students who would not otherwise be able to attend the colleges to be now getting educated and preparing for future leadership amongst our people. Imagine that for the first time ever in our longhouse, we have the 3 nations under one roof. I believe this is one of the most historic occasions for our 3 designated tribes. I believe we will remember this day probably into infinity. Certainly we are recording it so that the past will be remembered. And as we reach out for traditional values to come from you, the elders who hold the past and our tradition in so many special ways, we are certainly thankful to all of you. The first time I was into the kin, the kina, Tsimshian, Kawahan, Tlingit. The theater on the agency, you dark so that over 10 Hakunke. You care, yeah. On it was Sane. Ya would you into the kin, which ready up to start. 2 weeks ago, I had requested Yakunuk, which got to school, which didn't get to chat. Kehago Sassi. Gonna cheese. Ho ho. Ho ho.
David Katzek, a former member of Sealaska Board, is now president of Sealaska Heritage Foundation. He will be speaking shortly, but I wish at this time to have all the Tlingit people stand. One of their members was our speaker, and I'd like to have the Killer Whale people stand, that we may all see them. Thank you very much. David comes from the Eagle tribe, the Thunderbird clan, or the Shinkukedi. He will now speak.
Ach ish has, ach art has, ach sunny has, ach liishko has, ach kaniyan, tank, gunul chisha adeyuke yatangia yatsutat, has lingit seti nach to saneche, yewe hatu yatit, uhanso, acha kakwa ap yatsutat, lingit renach yukatange, Tles Khadawayat at Khohan would Tusliach Hahidi Chiskat Kaudliai hit hit, shiz hit. Jo ya awe yisani has, ya katas wunak. Tau slagau, skandu Koa nagas, Kachlis kaketch, Kakukau da Hasawa yathasua ua atiach, Yati yayiki. Yatachwasteni awach tu keuslitzin. Adayai da chunya yatzatat, Ach tu keusiku. Gunnel cheese ach ishas, gunnel cheese ach kanian, gunnel cheese ach lil gohas, gunnel cheese de kina, gunnel cheese tuutschan. Yewe Tlingit genach yukak patan, gunnel cheese ho ho, gunnel cheese, yehas idaya kayat utat, gunnel cheese. You know, when we got ready for this time, it was a very challenging experience that we have had as a small little organization. We basically have 5 staff members who work for the Sealaska Heritage Foundation, and I, as president, as well as I know I can express this in behalf of the Board of Trustees and the chairman of the Board of Trustees, Mr. Judson Brown. I think what I'll do right now, before I give my portion of the speech, introduce to you the members of the Board of Trustees of the Sealaska Heritage Foundation. Starting with Mr. Judson Brown. Judson Brown is the chairman of the Board of Trustees. Judson. The next person that we have on the board is Clarence Jackson from the community of Cake. He's standing over here on my left-hand side, maybe on your right-hand side. The next person that I saw come dancing in was Al Widmark. Is Al Widmark here? Could you stand, please? Al is in the very back of you here. Al Widmark. The other person that we have on the board is John Hope. He's also president of the Tlingit Haida Central Council and also a board member of the Sealaska Corporation. John is standing at the very entrance there in the back. Additionally, we have Mr. Robert Sanderson from the community of Heidelberg. He's the Deki Na. I don't know if he's, oh, here he is. He's standing on my right-hand side, Robert Sanderson. The other person that we have on the Board of Trustees is Rosita Wuerl. Rosita heralds from the roots from Tlakwan. She's Shangukedi. Rosita Wuerl. The other board member that we have is Tony Jones. I don't know if she's with us this morning. Tony Jones, is she here this morning? Okay, I don't know if did I get all the board members? Oh, the other board member, pardon me, is Robert Martin, Grand President of the Alaska Native Brotherhood. Robert Martin, is he here this morning? What I would like to say to you this morning is what I have heard and what I have learned as a person. My grandfather was James Tlingit from the Sukahadi. My other grandfather was Dan Katzek from the Killer Whale House. His name was Kiti Shanki. My grandmother, Mrs. Mary Tlingit, Mary Casco, and also one of the men that would have been here if he were well enough to attend would have been Mr. Joe White, who helped and who built the Thunderbird House in Tla'aquan. Some of the things in speaking in Tlingit to you today, the reason I was able to do it was because my grandparents took the time to talk to me when I was cleaning a gill net in the Lynn Canal area. There were times when that net was all tangled up with seaweed, moss, and sticks from the Chiscot River. And when we started to take the sticks and the seaweed out of the net, there would be time my grandfather, James Tlingit, would say to me, "Iyak paji ataya, iyak paji at." This will be a lesson to you. And I knew what he meant when he said this would be a lesson to you, and he would also say to me, there'll come there'll be a time when you begin to understand what I'm telling you. So it took a long time before I came to a period in my life where I began to understand what my grandfather James Tlingit was saying to me. What he was saying to me was a lot of times he'd see me when I'd look at the net being so twisted up with sticks and seaweed and moss. It would look like a very impossible situation. It looked like something that we would never be able to ever untangle or ever clean. It looked like we would never ever be able to use that net again in the water. Sometimes the net would be so tangled up it would be just one round little ball. For those of you who may have done set netting and things of that nature, in the Chilkat area, in the Lynn Canal area, you could anchor both ends down, and as a result, when the tide was coming in, it would take all the sticks and everything else and break it loose, and sometimes just wind up around the drum that we had anchored out. So in looking at this net and seeing how tangled and twisted and everything that it was, it looked impossible. But you know, when we started, as we took it apart, piece by piece, taking out the big parts, the little parts, the seaweed, sometimes the bullhead, sometimes the flounder, sometimes once in a while maybe a king salmon or a sockeye, and things of that nature. I'd hear my grandfather talking to some of these creatures, and sometimes he'd be singing a song. Sometimes he'd be just talking about how he wished his uncles were around. Okay, we would end up finishing cleaning that net, and that net would be in the water to get all tangled up, to get all the seaweed and everything else again. Why did I tell that little object lesson? There are times in everybody's life, regardless of whether you're Tlingit, Haida, Tsimshian, Japanese, Oriental, it looks like a impossible situation. It looks like you may never ever be able to accomplish what you hope to accomplish. But if you stick with what you start, if you persevere, if you look toward the goal of when that net, in our case, would be clean, and didn't look at the circumstances and the situation, that wasn't to ignore it, but to see how it would be when you finished the job that you started, it seemed to give you a motivating factor. And this is the way that I felt when I became the president of the Sealaska Heritage Foundation. I was both privileged and humbled at the same time when I took the position that I now hold. And I'm thankful to the board and to the Sealaska Corporation, to the board of directors of the Sealaska Corporation for giving me this time to work. In working with the elders, what the elders stated in one meeting was they said, let's be of one mind to preserve our culture. Let us have a spirit of unity in working together, Tlingit, Haida, and Tsimshian, to restore and preserve and promote our culture. Let us all work together. Last night I heard Austin Hammond say, let's hold one another's hands in unity to preserve our culture. And this is what we're doing today. We came today to hold one another's hands, to encourage one another. For me to see my in-laws, like I heard Byron speak this morning. Byron is my in-law. My wife is a Tlipnach Adi. And it was a privilege, Byron, for me to put this jacket on you that was presented to you. And so this morning, what I would say is, remember, the time has come for those of us who are young at the present time, who are not considered to be elders. It's time for us to pick up the staff. It's time for us to begin to move. It's time for us not to stand back. It's time for us to move ahead with our culture and not to stand and be ashamed of what we are. We are Tlingit. We are Tsimshian. We are Haida. And so, or Dekina. And so we have no reason to take a back seat anymore. I see a brother here, and I know this may be the last time I get to speak. But I see a brother Paratovich. Could you stand, please? He's sitting in the front here. When I was a young man, when I was a young kid, I used to see him walking out of the Capitol building. And I used to go up to him and say, "Wasasiyati achoni," and he'd respond back to me. And he'd say, "Adusawewa," and I'd tell him who I was. So it was an encouragement to see a person like Mr. Paratovich in the legislature. And we have people like that spread throughout this group. And I just want to say in conclusion, let's all have a spirit of unity. Let's all work together in love. Let's all work together in kindness. Let's all work together with happiness and joy, because we have consciously come together as a people to preserve our culture. I need it, my children need it, and my children's children need it. And I'm thankful for it. I want to do something here also, because I love my father, George Katzek. And I want to honor them. I want the Ganachtedi people to stand up. Charlie. Those are my father's people, and I'm glad and proud of the fact that I'm a Ganachtedi Yadi, Gunas Chish, ho ho.
We will at this time introduce all the participants, the dance groups here. And if you are from that town, we would like you to stand with them. We would start off with the Haida group, if they will stand so that they could be viewed on the video. The Haida group. How are the Guan? And then they will be followed by the group from Huna. All those from Huna, will they stand where they are? The dancers, the singers, and even the visitors. And then the Yakutat group.
The Yakutat group is ready to come out dancing.
All right. And then okay, there's a Yakutat group back there. Yakutat group. Good, thank you. And then our Klakwan group. Klakwan. And the Haynes group, their neighbors, and the same people. The Juneau group, the Juneau group. The Sitka group, Sitka. Cake, and you hear from Cake. Wrangell, and you hear from Wrangell. Here we are. This is Louis Paul. Kitchkan group. Saxman. Angoon. You notice I'm standing too. Thank you. Sawak. Kasan. Shangukedi from Klakwan.
Last but not least, I'd like to make this special introduction to very good friends of mine. Many years ago, as you know, I lived in Metlakatla for 8 years and got acquainted with these nice people here tonight. I don't know how to speak Tsimshian. Ira Booth taught me all the bad words, so I won't say them here. But it gives me great pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to you the Tsimshian group. Here they are, right there. Give them a hand. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to make another introduction again. All those people from the interior that are present, anyone from the interior, please stand up and raise your hand. Right there. Anyone else? Right there. Right in the center group there. Give them a hand. Mr. Johnny John, right there. That's all the introductions. Thank you very much.
As this great program proceeds, we will have further introductions. So if we've missed anyone today, you will have another opportunity. At this time, we would like to have a few remarks on the press detail by Ross Sobolev, Public Affairs Director. He will speak in German.
My German's real rusty today. I'm sure you've all noticed people with television cameras, tape recorders, and other types of recording devices. We have established a set of ground rules with the media that will be here covering our event today, that any use that they make of the materials they gather here are strictly for the news. I'm sure we're all concerned about other uses of our cultural material, which to us is very sacred. I would only otherwise point out to you that the gentleman here and the one up on the scaffolding are people that have been hired by the Heritage Foundation to document this event on video for the benefit of us and for our children. And any tapes that they are generating now we'll be using for broadcasting some of this event over the Rural Alaska Television Network Thursday night and Friday night. And they are also essentially archives for our Heritage Foundation, and they belong to all of us. Additionally, any of you out there in the audience who are doing any photography or tape or recording or anything, we ask that if you haven't already registered at the desk and gotten a small tag and a press pass, that you do so. This is in the interests of respecting our culture and taking care of the materials that we're generating here.
We certainly want to include special greetings to the shareholders of Sealaska who were not able to attend. They are in the state of Washington, far-flung state of Alaska too, Oregon, California, and across the nation, and perhaps in the foreign countries. And we don't want to forget them. We send them special greetings. They probably see part of this program on videotape, and we send them our fondest greetings and wish they were here to celebrate with us the revival, the intensity of this culture, which will be with us for some time.